Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. In today's video, friends, we talk about my 2021 collection goals. It's a video that I have been meaning to make as soon as the new year kind of hit, and I figured given that this is the last week in January, today would be a great way to kick off the week, primarily, but also give you all an indication of some of the types of items you can expect to see coming through and being added onto my collection. Of course, I do share a lot via either Instagram or primarily here on YouTube, so this can be a great way to kind of see, where I can be a year from now today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. In no particular order, here are the top 5 goals that I've set myself for 2021. So our first goal for the channel is going to be continuing my EX Pokemon collection. So obviously, if you're a fan of the channel, you know, but if you're not or you're new here, one of my big goals in Pokemon card collecting has been completing a series of EX booster boxes. The EX era is one of the lowest print run, meaning that the boxes were not highly produced, and more importantly, this makes them incredibly exceptionally rare. Now, as of my last mail day video, which took place in late 2020, I was able to secure a EX Dragon box, meaning I now have a total of 13 of the 16 EX booster boxes. Now, in terms of comparing myself and benchmarking myself to my peers and other people in the hobby, there aren't that many folks that have a complete EX era set. In fact, most people, at least by my count, don't come close to 10 of the 16 booster boxes. So the fact alone that I have 13 is something that I'm incredibly grateful for and I'm really happy about. But of course, I do really want to strive for the total of the complete 16. I'm still missing Legend Maker, Hold-On Phantoms, and Sandstorm. Now, of those 3 booster boxes, the good news is that Legend Maker and Sandstorm are pretty much available on the market. It's kind of gross to say, but Collectibles Guru does have 2 of those boxes on the market, and given the amount of eyes on him now, if need arise or if finances allow, in theory I could just get a goods and services type of transaction going with him and hopefully strike a deal. And then worst case scenario, if something were to go wrong with the transaction, at least I would have the protections of PayPal on my side to sort of help me navigate the situation. And again, the only reason I say that is because he has proven himself at times to be an unreliable source of Pokemon cards. But all that said, I also would rely on my own expertise in authenticating the boxes as well as ensuring the quality and condition of the box as well. When it comes to Hold-On, things are a little different. At the end of 2020, I was very close to sealing a deal, and perhaps this is one of those things that I'll share with you guys, hopefully with the intention of also making you all aware of my own experiences so you can live vicariously through them, but also so that you can learn through them. So I ended up striking up a deal with a guy, and I was legitimately going to offer him a pretty significant amount of money, $30,000 for a Hold-On Phantoms booster box. And I was fortunate enough to be in a situation where I could pull this off because I would sell off some older stuff in my collection that I bought for investment purposes and then just kind of turn it around and buy my booster box. And I was okay paying this much because I genuinely believe these booster boxes will be worth far more than that. So I would be buying speculatively, but hoping that the investment would pay for itself in time. And wouldn't you know it, this guy decided to post on eBay asking $45,000 starting bid on an auction. And the one thing that I really learned about this is that, a lot of people have entered the hobby or have been motivated to get into the hobby, but I really do value professionalism above all else. I guess at the end of the day, I could have gone after this person. I could have said, hey, I'm willing to pay X, Y, and Z amount of money. But one thing that I'm slowly learning and starting to appreciate more and more is being a professional. Whether you're a buyer or a seller, just act like a human being. These people, sometimes they think that because they have a rare item that they can act like they're, better than you, or that they're just going to be a complete and total jerk about it. And this was the type of problem that I was having with this particular seller, was that they would continue to leave me on red. I'd have to double or triple message them just to even get a response. And again, this was a valid offer that I could that I could prove right away. And this person continued to kind of just keep me on the side and keep me out of the picture. And then randomly, a couple of weeks after the fact, they ended up getting back in touch with me after the market had kind of collapsed on this box, and wanted $27,000 for the box. And I guess that's because they realized that there wasn't probably another legitimate buyer out there who was going to meet them at the price they were asking. And at that point, I flat out turned them down, and said, hey, here's how much I'm willing to pay, which was significantly lower than what I had offered them previously. And if they didn't like it, it ended up being a situation where, surprisingly, I got left on red again. So, I find it disappointing that I wasn't able to pick that box up. But more and more, what I'm beginning to realize is I value professionalism in this hobby. If you're a buyer and you're a seller, and someone's going to be buying a small sedan from you in terms of monetary value, the least you can do on the back end is be a professional about it. Like, you know what I mean? Just, reply to messages, maintain a presence, be cordial. It's not really that hard, and really I've come to value that more so than anything else. So I won't be going after the seller trying to, beg them to sell to me. I guess business is too good, and unfortunately that's the way that it is. With that said, this is probably one of my lower tiered goals, and I know I've been talking about it for a little bit now, but it's important to note that for me, this is my big thing. After this, I'm probably going to have to redefine what I'm doing in the hobby, because if I were to ever complete my goal of getting the 16 boxes, I think I would have to really kind of look long and hard at myself and say, hey, what's left for me to do? Of course, along the way, I've also picked up a variety of slabs and boosters and PSA 10 gold stars, and so the boxes are really the only thing that is left that I really care about anyway. And so I've come to realize that I value the professionalism of sellers and buyers and just being genuine people in the hobby more so than I value the box. And if that means I have to let this one go and just wait for the next one, that's totally fine. It gives me more time to save, to invest, and to find other investment opportunities that will allow me to afford the box at potentially even a higher price in the future, but at least from a reputable seller who's not going to act like a total jerk. So just a little something to think about, friends, especially if you're out there in the market looking for something. A person doesn't have to be an absolute, total waste case, and you can still kind of buy it. Trust me, there is nothing as bad as paying this person, getting the item, and then always thinking about how miserable an experience you had buying or selling with this person. And then on top of everything else, there's literally a collectible item now that you own that just kind of perpetually reminds you of how terrible an experience you had. I recently sold something like that I bought from a eBay purchase gone wrong from hell, mind you, and it felt so good to get rid of it. So I would never want something that means so much to me to have come from someone, that's like really just a terrible experience to deal with. So take that as like your 2021 vibe check. Take that into the future with you. Hold buyers and hold sellers to a higher level of professionalism, even if they're offering you the best deal on the best product. At the end of the day, if we can't act like humans in the hobby, it's not really much of a hobby, is it? Number 2, I want to start investing in more heart gold, soul silver era stuff. So recently, I was fortunate enough to pick up a super crispy, super mint English base heart gold, soul silver box. The reason I have to say it like that is because typically online, and even a couple of days ago, we just saw a Spanish version of this box opened up. And if you go on eBay, it's actually fairly common to see Spanish boxes, but it's kind of rare to actually see the English box, which has Ho-Oh on the front of it. Now, specifically, I purchased that as more of an investment, and I purchased 3 tins alongside it that were released in tandem. So all of that kind of plays together as a very nice set, especially for a Generation 2 fan. I can definitely see that being a really nice addition to someone's collection in the future. But specifically for me, I think what's really cool is the Legend cards and the Prime cards that exist within the Heart Gold, Soul Silver era. So on the back end of Generation 4, they had a whole bunch of these cards that are basically 2 pieces, a top and a bottom, and they feature some pretty neat Pokemon. So in case you don't know, they have a Lugia version, a Ho-Oh version, a Darkrai and Cresselia version, a Rayquaza and Deoxys version. And in addition to that, there's also the Prime cards, which look like EX cards, but again, are a little bit different, and the idea was that they were really kind of just shining a spotlight on different Pokemon. What I think is great about these is that there's tons of opportunity for them to grow in the future. So just this Saturday, I did a video on opportunity cost, and obviously there's tons of conditions to be met here, right? The idea is that you want to pick the investment or the option that is going to be the most fruitful in the future. Personally, I think this era of Pokemon is gravely underlooked, and I think it's the next that is going to blow up. I don't think it's going to be as popular as Gold Star collecting or EX collecting from the EX era, but I do think it has the potential to grow far beyond what it currently is. And so whether you're looking at it from a collection perspective or an investment perspective, I do think there is a lot of really good opportunity here. To kind of put things into perspective, just recently, within the last month, there was a sale on eBay for sequential PSA 10s of the top and bottom of the Darkrai and Cresselia card, and they sold for under $400. So that's just an indicator of how grossly underestimated these cards are in value, and considering the fact that they're incredibly hard to grade, both the Prime cards and the Legend cards, there's a pretty good chance that these will stand the test of time and can greatly appreciate in value over a period of time. So next up is going to be Sun and Moon era sealed product. So dating back as early as the EX era, there have always been ways that certain items get shipped to stores. So for example, 3-pack blisters would get shipped in a case of 24. So you have 24 individual blisters, each of which contain 3 individual packs. So in theory, you have 72 packs in this case. And this type of product has existed since the very beginning of Pokemon, starting with booster cases, 6 booster boxes in one case. Now, in addition to that, as Pokemon has sort of diversified their offerings and the types of sealed product that are out there, we've also seen additional types of cases showing up on the market. And what's really cool about the Sun and Moon era is that there's tons of different items to pick from. Now, the reason that I'm not picking X, Y, and Black and White and Heart Gold and Soul Silver is because the prices are a little too spicy on some of this stuff. Flash Fire cases, for example, of the 144 sleeved individual boosters are currently on eBay for $10,000 after taxes. And so that's a bit much for something that may not increase in value that much in the future. However, Sun and Moon era stuff is really ripe for the picking right now, at least in my opinion, because prices haven't started skyrocketing to the point where it's $1,000 a booster box. So even if you're paying $2,500 for a booster case, or paying, approximately like $400 per booster box, I think there's still plenty of margin in the long run, because I can easily see boxes of Burning Shadows, Unbroken Bonds, and Lost Thunder, for example, going for $1,000 each sometime in the future. So it might not be a bad idea to just buy this stuff and just kind of, throw it in a corner in the basement, check in on it every once in a while, and just kind of leave it there, because I do believe in the long run this stuff is going to be super productive in terms of an investment. And personally for me, I really like some of these sets, so I also think I'm kind of preparing for the future in a weird way, because assuming the eBay channel continues to exist into the very far future, which by the way is my plan, my hope and my goal would be that I can then open some of that product in 5 or 10 years from now. In theory, what's really cool about that is that by then it's going to actually kind of be vintage. So at that point, you might be expecting vintage content every couple of days, if not every couple of weeks, as opposed to whenever we hit a major subscriber milestone on the channel. So in a weird way, this goal specifically relates to two things: prepping for the future and also investing for the future, knowing that some of this stuff has a very long way to go in terms of increasing in value, but buying now and sort of letting it be a passive investment can also be a really great way of preparing for a large purchase in the future, or even future-proofing your collection and making sure that you have some inherent value stored away for the future. So number 4 on the list is going to be black and white and XY era EX full art cards. So this is a weird kind of middle ground in terms of like affordability versus how much I think the cards are going to appreciate in value. So in the black and white era, they introduced full art texture cards. They started with the Reshiram and the Zekrom in black and white base, and then in Legendary Treasures, they actually reprinted those cards as full art gold cards. Now, you all haven't seen them yet because the current PSA submission that I've been going through, we haven't even gotten to that part yet. The PSA submission was so large that we haven't even gotten to that point yet, but there are some black and white era cards in there. And then in addition to that, I also have another PSA submission that we still have to go through on the channel. Hint, hint, there's a lot of that type of content coming your way for the foreseeable future. And that particular set has a lot of EX cards, not from the EX era, but rather from the XY era. So that was a lot of letters, but imagine the stuff from Generation 6, like the Full Art Charizard card from the XY Evolutions reprint of base set. Things of that nature. And the reason I want to invest in this type of stuff, or even purchase this stuff, is because some of these cards are really good looking. XY era was also when they remade the Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire games, which obviously are Generation 3, which you all know I'm crazy for. So I really do like that era of stuff, and so getting a Mega Rayquaza, getting a Mega Blaziken, and cards of that nature, there are some really good looking cards. There's some really unique artwork that I think can really hold the test of time. So it's a combination of, hey, I really kind of like this stuff, and yet at the same time, I'm also really kind of impressed by how undervalued some of this stuff is. So that combination is obviously a collector's dream and an investor's dream, because it means you can pick a whole bunch of stuff up now and then just kind of sit on it. In addition to that, I recently purchased a binder about 6 months ago that was chock full of textured EX cards from the XY era, and so as soon as PSA has another special related to Pokemon, my hope is to actually have the majority of that stuff graded, because now there's obviously also some additional value to be generated there. So I think between the two, A, owning some cards, B, having some cards graded, and C, just being exposed to them and getting to really kind of appreciate them, even though they're kind of more modern product than other cards like WotC and EX era cards are, I really have started to appreciate them, and I think that it could be really, really cool to go ahead and purchase some of this stuff and just kind of store it away, right? Sooner or later, it'll become vintage, and sooner or later, especially the black and white era stuff, will become historical, because it was the first time they were doing full art and texture cards, and that could prove to be a very key part of a really nice, diverse collection, especially as time goes on. So finally but not least, and perhaps this is maybe my main goal for 2021, and it's going to sound really strange, I would really like to complete all the binder sets that I started in 2020 and 2021. So on screen right now, you'll see some pictures of a variety of different binders that I currently am working on. And obviously, there's Hidden Fates, and you'll notice that, surprise, surprise, there are a couple full art cards missing, including the Charizard. There are some complete pages which look absolutely gorgeous. I'm missing a couple of the Tapus, and then I've also started things like Champion's Path, etc., etc. Now, here's the thing. Last year, if you had asked me would I be doing binders, I'd probably say no. But the truth of the matter is that I low-key fell in love with binders and completing binder sets because of something that SM Pratt said. So if you're a fan of the channel, SM Pratt is another one of those medium-sized YouTubers. He tends to do more investment Pokemon stuff, and he's definitely one of the OGs. Now, he always says that he doesn't look at his sealed product, he doesn't look at his PSA slabs. What he ends up admiring the most from his collection are his binders. And after hearing that, I got super interested and I said, okay, I'm going to do a Hidden Fates binder. And then I was really struggling for quite a period of time actually to finish it. Obviously I've pulled a lot of full art cards, but unfortunately Dupe City is a thing, and occasionally one gets many duplicates of many cards. But I ended up going on Troll and Toad and just kind of, doing a $200 purchase to kind of fill out the binder. And when I went through that experience, it was really fun and really rewarding. And now, obviously, I can't stop looking at my binder because it looks beautiful and it photographs really well and I can show it off in this video, right? And I started doing that with more and more sets, and now it's gotten to the point where I've committed to doing all of the Sword and Shield era stuff. And if I ever get reprints, I will do Unbroken Bonds, Unified Minds, Burning Shadows, and every set going forward. And I've even started a Call of Legends set, which is albeit a little bit more difficult and a little bit more costly. But in my last mail day video even, I got in a whole bunch of the holographic cards. If you buy it in little chunks, it doesn't feel so bad. And slowly but surely, you'll get the really satisfying feeling of completing a binder. And may I just say, for a collectible trading card game, there really is nothing better than just holding a complete binder in your hand and knowing that whether you pulled them all, whether you bought them all, or whether you even took the time to put in a few of the cards into the binder, there's something really satisfying about that feeling. And yeah, I mean, it's something that I didn't expect to have to say, but it's really fun, really enjoyable, and it's hard to put words to it in a video. So if you haven't tried it in the past, you should definitely try to complete a binder, probably even just a modern set, right? But it's so rewarding, and I definitely recommend it. So that's something that I definitely plan on finishing. Do I think I'm going to do Call of Legends completely? That might be difficult, very expensive. Many of the shiny cards are now selling for over $100, and I still need 9 of them. So you can imagine that's going to be quite the significant investment. But for all of the Sword and Shield era sets, I'm hoping to get them done and completed. And if the Cosmic Eclipse reprint comes through, I'm literally going to go apeshit and try to just complete that set or get very close to completing that set right off the bat. But with that said, friends, thanks again for checking out another video. Right around 22, 23 minutes, so I know I try to keep it short, but let's be real, I could have talked for 40 minutes if I wanted to, and you all know that, so I think this is a very respectable amount of time for 5 unique goals. All that said, let me know down below in the comments section, what is your goal for 2021? I know a lot of people have a lot of different things in mind. Some people are thinking pour money into the hobby because it's going to blow up again. Some people are thinking get out of the hobby because, the crash or a combination of the macro economy as well as just, the sheer scale and scope of the shortages that are happening in Pokemon right now. So definitely let me know what you plan on accomplishing in 2020. I would love to hear and engage with you guys down below in the comments. As always, thank you again for stopping by and spending some time with me. You could have been anywhere on the internet, but you chose to spend a little bit of time with me today, and I do, as always, appreciate that. If you haven't already, feel free to subscribe. The button is right down below, and you can also ring the bell notification. Videos come out 3 times a week, so I always appreciate getting to engage with you guys, especially thanks to the people who've been commenting on videos. I really do appreciate it. The analytics are showing it, and then I'm seeing it, but what I'll usually do is go ahead and respond to everything on one day during the weekends. So if you leave a comment and I don't respond to it right away, definitely know that I'm gonna hit back sooner or later, and keep your eye out for it because I love engaging with you all. Other than that, friends, thanks again for checking out another video. On Thursday, we will have a TCG Toolkit video. about those stupid food containers from Target. We're going to stick an ETB in it and see if it's actually legit. So we'll have that on Thursday. And then on Saturday, we'll have some PSA Greater Return. So with all that said, friends, thanks again for checking out another video, and we'll talk soon. Peace.